Good morning, Shemstars. Welcome to class. Hope you all are fine. Today we continue with our chapter Nationalism in India of class 10th. Today we start with the topic toward civil disobedience. As the non-cooperation movement was turning violent in many places, in February 1922, Gandhiji decided to withdraw the movement. He felt the need for proper training of satyagrahis before any kind of mass struggle. On the other side, within the Congress, were some leaders who were not in favor of any mass struggle. They decided to participate in the provincial elections, which was set up by the Government of India Act of 1919. Their views was that they should oppose British policies within the councils and bring reform, and also prove that these councils lack true democracy. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru were in favor of returning back to council politics. Hence, they formed a Swaraj party. But young leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose stressed on more mass struggles, which presented the agitation of Indians toward the oppressive policies of the Britishers and demanded for full independence. While there was a situation of internal debate and disagreement, there were few factors that led to a change in the Indian politics during the late 1920s. During the late 1920s, the world was facing the situation of economic depression. The price for agricultural goods fell, and this led to the decline of export. This fall in the prices began during 1926 and collapsed after 1930. It was a very hard time for the peasants as they were not getting the right price for their produce, hence they were not able to pay off the taxes. So the situation of unrest was prevailing in rural area by 1930. The first thing which Gandhiji thought was to unite people. This could only be done if the problem of all the classes of society to be taken into consideration. So with this view, Gandhiji sent a letter to Viceroy Irwin on 31st January 1930 stating the 11 demands. Some of these demands were of general interest, others were specific demands of different classes from industrialists to peasants. The main reason behind including demands of these groups was to bring everyone together in a united campaign. Gandhiji had given an ultimatum in his letter that if the demands would not be fulfilled by 11th March, the Congress will launch a civil disobedience movement. Lord Irwin did not consider it, and this led to the beginning of a non-cooperation movement which was started with the famous Salt March led by Mahatma Gandhi. So on 12th March, Gandhiji started his famous Salt March accompanied by 78 of his trusted volunteers. Gandhiji covered 240 miles in 24 days from his ashram Sabarmati to the Gujarati coastal town of Dandi. Thousands came to hear Gandhiji's wherever he stopped. He explained to them about his ideas of Swaraj and urged them to carry the movement peacefully to defy the Britishers. On 6th April, Gandhiji reached Dandi and he broke the salt law by boiling seawater. The Dandi March was seen as the beginning of civil disobedience movement, but here the question arises as to how it different from the non-cooperation movement. Let's discuss that. The civil disobedience movement differed in a way that in this case people not only refused to cooperate with the British government but were also asked to break the British laws. So this led to the following actions by the various group of people. Like foreign clothes was totally boycotted. Peasants start evading taxes. They stop paying revenue and chowkidari taxes. Village officials resign. Forest law were violated by entering into reserved area to collect the wood and graze cattle. This resulted in clashes between the people and police. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, a disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, was arrested by the police in April 1930. This led to demonstration by the angry crowd in Peshawar. Police fired on the demonstrators and killed many of them. Later on, Mahatma Gandhi was arrested. This led to a violent demonstration by the industrial worker in Solapur. As the situation was growing worse, so Gandhiji decided to call off the movement. On 5th March 1931, he entered into a pact with Irvine, which later came to be known as Gandhi-Irvine Pact. Due to this pact, Gandhiji agreed to participate in the Round Table Conference. The first Round Table Conference was boycotted by the Congress in London. In December 1931, Gandhiji went to London to attend the Round Table Conference. But the conference failed and Gandhiji returned back with disappointment. When he reached India, he found that the government had initiated a new form of repression. Leaders like Ghaffar Khan and Jawaharlal Nehru were both in jail. Congress was declared illegal and various new measures were imposed by the government to prevent meeting, demonstration and boycotts. Now next we move further on our next topic, that is the sense of collective belongings. Nationalism, as we know, spread when people feel commonness among themselves. This happens when they believe that they belong to the same nation. But here again a question arises that how the people from different communities who have different beliefs, languages and culture will come together to make the idea of nation a reality. Well, this sense of collective belonging came due to some reasons, like through their experience of united struggle or because of the variety of cultural processes through which nationalism captured people's imagination. History and fiction, folk songs and folk dance, popular prints and symbols play a vital role in the making of the nationalism. The identity of a nation is generally symbolized in the form of image. This helps in creating an image with which people can relate. To start with, it was Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay who created the image through his poem Vande Mataram. He wrote this poem in 1870, in which he wrote a hymn for his motherland. Later, this poem was added in his novel Anandmat and was widely sung during the Swadeshi movement in Bengal. Later, Abhindranath Tagore painted and give the shape to image of Bharat Mata. He painted her as an ascetic. She looked calm, divine and spiritual. In following years, Bharat Mata was painted in two different forms. Different artists painted her in their own way. The painting was circulated in popular prints. Soon the devotion to this mother figure came to be seen as evidence of one's nationalism. In Bengal, Rabindranath Tagore began collecting ballads, nursery rhymes and myths, and in Madras, Natasha Sastry published a massive 4-volume collection of Tamil folk tales. Both of them were of the view that the folklore is the true demonstration of the people's real thought and characteristics. In the later years, As the national movement developed, various nationalist leaders chose symbols or icons to generate the feeling of nationalism and unification among the Indians. For instance, during the Swadeshi movement in Bengal, a tricolor flag, red, green, and yellow, was designed. The flag had 8 lotuses, which represented the 8 provinces of British India. Even Gandhiji also designed a Swaraj flag. His flag was also tricolor, having red, green, and white with a spinning wheel in its center. The spinning wheel represented the Gandhian idea of self help. During those days, carrying a flag during the protest or march symbolized the resistance against the British rule. So, at last, we can say that a growing outrage towards the oppressive rule of colonial government was the main reason that brought all the people of India together to initiate a common struggle for freedom in the first half of 20th century. The Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to channelize the problems of people into organized movements for independence. Thank you, Shamstars. That's all for today. Hope you understand the chapter. You can drop your queries on the Google Classroom. Take care.